We are back on the Mizell Show.
We had an ice storm.
Yes.
And in Memphis, it knocks it out.
Knocks it out. Like people
over a week without power.
People were over a week without power.
Yeah.
Our internet went out for about 5 to 6 days.
Yeah.
And so
that's what happened to the Mizell Show. And
yeah, life happens. Ice happens.
Yeah, you can't really cut and post a podcast
without internet.
But today, we are actually continuing our Black History Month.
Moments in Black History with the Mizell Show.
With Stephen Mizell.
Senior.
But he's not a senior because he's Stephen Aaron and you're Stephen Alexander.
Yeah, my pops.
The big pops. And just a little preface, you guys may not be able to understand who's who.
Yeah, you can.
You think? We'll find out. But he's originally from New York.
Mount Vernon, New York. Money earning Mount Vernon.
Is that what they say?
That's what they call it.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And a little side note, that is where Denzel Washington is from.
Pops actually went to high school and played at the local YMCA with Denzel.
Denzel Washington.
Used to run together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It's crazy.
So he's originally from Mount Vernon, New York, then went to school in
University of Dayton. Dayton Flyers.
Then met his bride, who was from Memphis. And we gotta talk to moms about that because back in the day, both of them went away to school, away. And that was not a thing.
No.
So that's not going to be about Black History Month. But then we're going to talk to him a little bit about how he got to Memphis. What does that look like being a Yankee in the South?
Where things are completely different for you.
Yeah, way different. And dating a Southern girl. Back in the day. And he's been to some cool things.
He has some cool things.
He got a front row seat to a few things in New York. So we're super excited to ask him about it and have you guys be able to learn from him.
Drop a little knowledge.
Yeah, I get to learn from him all the time, but
we're going to share with you guys.
Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Check it out.
Perfect.
Welcome to the Mizell Show.
An inspiration for a new generation.
Hi, I'm Alanna Mizell, a loving mother of two, a devoted wife to Stephen, and an entrepreneur helping women realize their dreams and potential.
And I'm Stephen Mizell, caring father of two, a devoted husband to Alanna, and a driving force to help young men prepare for life after college football.
And if that wasn't enough, we're a biracial couple.
She was raised in the North, but I was raised in the South.
The only thing normal about our lives, who am I kidding? It's never normal around here. Join us for the Mizell Show.
Right now. First of all, thank you for hopping on with us.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it.
Were you a little taken back when we asked you?
There's somewhat, but it's all good. Since you know my life story anyway, kind of was.
But I think it's very good that, we have audience and listeners and we talk about you, but for them to hear, firsthand, some of the things and the things that you've been through, I think are really important.
And not only that, but just about a year ago, because we were talking about Black History Month.
Yeah.
We were over at y'all's house.
Just hanging out.
And all of a sudden...
You just dropped the bomb that you told us.
Dropped bombs about all these different things. And we're going to ask you about that. Okay, so what was the first question?
Yeah, the first question I wanted to ask you is just walk me through, how did you get to a Malcolm X rally?
Yeah.
I had no idea until a year ago that you actually went to it.
Right. You were, how old were you when you found out your dad had been to a Malcolm X rally?
37.
You would have had so much clout in school.
I would have some clout in school. I mean, I still throw the Denzel clout around, but the Malcolm X would got me some real.
That's cool. A heavy hitter right there.
So walk us through how did you and the homies, how did you guys get to the Malcolm X rally?
Yeah.
Well, it was I guess it was because of the movement of the Muslim movement during that period of time. We had numerous of friends that were Muslims, and I was invited to one of the meetings, and it was unbelievable that Malcolm X was speaking. It was a thrilling moment because we we all were looking up at Malcolm X and what him and Martin Luther King was doing, and what the movement was doing for us as Black people in the North and the South. It kind of cultivated some of the feelings that wow, I really met him. I see him making a speech. You know, you would hear about speeches, but you try to get you might hear some video, well, not video, but audio about him. But it's it accumulated a lot of things that in our lives during the period of time that we were felt kind of set back. You know, it was also like when we finally wanted to feel good about being Black. The James Brown, the James Brown "Say It Loud, Black and I'm Proud" was one of the other things kids were singing it, but we always had a feeling of not being equal as counterparts in school, and we always was many times made that we would feel unequal. It's I growing up in Mount Vernon, New York, it was kind of a different atmosphere because we were a multitude of people and cultures and races and there, and so it didn't affect you as much. But when you got a chance to visit the South, it really it set you back because you really didn't understand as a young child what racism was really about. You didn't feel it up in the North as much as when you first see a sign saying colored water fountain. Hey, colored water fountain. What? I look at my mother. What's that?
Right. Yeah. So
what's a colored water fountain?
So y'all up north, you didn't have colored water fountains, or you did, just not as frequently?
We didn't have colored water fountains.
So growing up in Mount Vernon, like you really only got that real culture shock when you went to visit family in
Montgomery, Alabama. My grandmother was from Montgomery, Alabama.
Yeah, okay. I remember that.
So we're and I always remember that it was we took a train from New York, Grand Central Station, down through Atlanta, then hitting Montgomery, Alabama, and it was my brother and mother, my brother and my mother, and myself. I loved the train. It was an unbelievable ride. I always remember having to have French toast for the first time on eating awesome. French toast out. I never forgot that French toast. It was so great. Yeah. And then we got to see my grandmother, and she had all the relatives and cousins and people that were in Alabama.
So that's when you really had the culture shock. So when you were in that moment with Malcolm X, so you basically went to a meeting and you didn't even know he was going to be there. So what was it like hearing him firsthand speak? Like you said, you felt that moment of pride, but like, was he as great as an orator as you kind of hear him be able to speak to people?
Oh yes, it was. He was awfully moving. It was and that you're talking about 60 some years ago. That I heard him speak, and he made the crowd and instituted the idea of being self-sufficient and being and not looking for someone else to help you. And that's one of the things that I kind of I took from that meeting for the rest of my life. Not looking for someone else to give you a handout or do something, because it only made you weak. And that's the only thing I really took from that. I love that idea of loving oneself and looking at yourself not to be inefficient to others. And and I go back to the trip to Alabama. It was kind of strange. I was at the candy store. One of my aunts gave me 10 cents or 15. Go to the candy store. So you run to the candy store and wait, and you find some candy and you wait to get the thing. And it was a it was unbelievable. I wasn't used to it. I stayed in line. I got to the front of the line. Then someone else came in, and they would always say, "You get in the back of the line. Get behind her." I said, "Why am I keep getting in the back of the line?" So they wouldn't let me pay for a little 10-cent worth of candy until all the white
people were
customers
gone.
had. And the guy looked at me. What do you want? He says, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm Mrs. Bird's grandson." Oh my goodness! He changed his whole eye. Look at we heard that you were coming up from the north. He took care of me quickly and everything because he knew Mrs. Bird down the street. We lived on they lived on like a dirt road down there, and it was this is my grandma was one of the fierce black ladies on
on the block. So he knew
in the neighborhood.
So he knew Mrs. Bird. So you name dropped Mrs. Bird, and you kind of got that. So with that fearlessness and being self-sufficient, walk us through, went through high school, went through college. What gave you that fearlessness to go to University of Dayton, which to today is still a prominently like Catholic school?
It is
white Catholic.
White Catholic. So how did you get from Mount Vernon to the University of Dayton? And
it was strange. University of Dayton has a great alumni in New York.
Oh,
and I went to a meeting.
It was meetings.
Yeah, the meetings.
There was class. It was like I can't remember what type of meeting it was. It was a college meeting. I take it. I understand. I was the first in our family to ever go to college in any part of my family. My cousins, all around. So my seeking to be something else, which one of my friends said, "What are you trying to be, uppity?" I said, "No, I'm trying to go to college."
Oh my God!
So it was kind of strange when I finally got there. I put an application in. I had my counselor help me with the application because most of the people that were in our school were you go into Tennessee State or some of the other UBC. And I said, "I'm going to Dayton," and it was another. I think one of the cheerleaders, Cheryl Vaughn, also went there. It was two of us going from Mount Vernon to Dayton, Ohio.
Wow.
It was you talk about another culture shock.
Yes.
Right.
So first of all, a Catholic school. I had been to a Catholic mass before, but it wasn't something I really enjoy attending at that time because it was still in Latin, and I didn't understand what they were talking about. So it was like, why am I here?
Yeah,
right. Exactly. You didn't understand why they were standing up and sitting down, and then also why are we here?
Yeah, speaking in that language, exactly.
I love it.
But we went to when we got off the plane, I flew in with a big trunk, and that's one of the days you could bring a whole bunch of luggage. So I had a trunk, and I flew in, and the school got you on a bus and everything, and I was put in West Campus, which was off the campus of the main campus. Which, first of all, it was kind of like, why are we in a different campus, But it was such a large amount of students that came in that year that they had an overflow of people, at least the boys, that were in West Campus, which was the greatest thing ever because we had like our own campus, our own kitchen, and all the things that we wanted. And only thing we had a problem with that you had to catch the bus to campus, and you had to catch the bus at a certain time, which I wasn't part of the problem catching the bus. Now some of my roommates and other thing, they had a little problem with the bus. They probably got cars, but it was and my roommate was Jeff Newless, and he was from New Jersey.
Okay. Very cool.
And Jeff was like a kind of hippie. He had long beard and long hair. I mean, long black hair, long beard, and we hit it off really great. He was studying to be a doctor, and he was very smart.
Yeah.
And we all rode the bus, and we had we were all from West Campus, so it was enjoying, and we played football afterwards. We had our own basketball court that was in the back, a dome type basketball court. We played basketball all the time, and it probably was the most heavenly situation a kid could go through. And everybody was there were freshmen. We had some sophomores, but most of them were freshmen. So
that really helped your bonding experiences being back
you
there.
Bonded great
you
with
were
a lot
kind
of people.
On West Campus, you were kind of away from everybody else, but you had no choice but to bond and connect and help bridge those gaps and everything.
And the only other problem was I thought it was an issue with a lot of the guys had a lot of freedom, and it was a liquor store around the corner. They used to get older people to go get them liquor, and there was a lot of folks getting drunk up there. That didn't make it through the sophomore year.
Didn't make it through the sophomore year at all.
Had to turn around and go home.
But they had never had that freedom before. Growing up in New York, the liquor store was around the corner from us all the time. We were young, and we had to we wanted to buy some wine or something that we shouldn't be drinking. We always got the neighborhood bum to get us going and get it.
Y'all got that out of your system before you got to college.
Exactly.
Yeah, we drinking or the tomfoolery, you might say, was not something that you wanted to do. And when you were coming to college, and you know that you had a lot of pressure on you to succeed at college. And I was studying engineering, so I had tried out for the football team, and I was going to be a walk-on. And I was out there about 3 or 4 weeks. And I realized that they weren't paying for nothing as a walk-on. And that I really understood what walk-on means. You might get some meals, but I was paying for everything, and I was working out, and I was the dummy.
You were like the crash test dummy.
You're the crash dummy, and then that's eating away in your study time, your engineering time, and your college experience time.
So
and I decided that was. I came and talked to the coach. I said, "This is not something I can
it's not for me.
Maintain with being studying to be an engineer, and that's what I wanted to do." Most of the other football basketball players that was engineering, they dropped out because
of the rigorous practice schedule and stuff.
Study habits and practice. Yeah. You're tired. I mean, after a football practice, you really don't have time to be studying all night.
No.
So what years were you in undergrad?
How old was I?
Like what year? 19 what?
Oh, it was 1973. I graduated in 1973.
Okay.
And it was 1973, 74.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were in engineering at the time, obviously. How many students did you graduate with that were Black?
3.
Do you know about how many?
It was Irish Crenshaw, we call him Skate, and Iris was in, I believe, chemical engineering.
Okay.
Skate and I was in electrical, and one other guy that was in mechanical. We were all 3 there, but there were some, and this is what Les and some of the older guys that had been before really tutored us to make sure that we could be able to stay in engineering.
Right.
Because I had no idea how hard this was.
Yeah.
Right. Because you were in an anomaly.
Yeah. You were.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, having Black males in an engineering program isn't very common.
It's still very common, because even when Simone graduated from Stanford, she was still only one of two and then one of 5 minorities graduated from it. Yeah, so it's still.
To preface for those that don't know your family,
that's
Simone
40 some years ago.
Yeah. So Simone
afterwards.
is Stephen's older sister. Okay, so you're now at Dayton. There's not a ton of you, and then you meet your now bride, who is from
that
Memphis.
happened almost my junior year. Ari Crenshaw, which was one of the other engineers that she was from Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
She introduced me to Gwen and said, you two are the only 2 vegetarians I know.
Did you know that I sell makeup? Not only do I sell makeup, but the makeup that I sell is 3D makeup, which allows you to highlight and contour your face in a super simple compact. As a mom, I could not survive without my simplified routine. Not only that, but it's exactly what you need. Exactly when you need it, all in one spot. Go ahead and check out Alanna Mizell on Instagram or alannamizell.com to learn more. Gotta work out. It's fine. So you met her. She's from Memphis, Tennessee. You have family in Alabama. But what was it like when you met a Southern girl?
It wasn't too different. Because it was because we grew up in an environment up in New York. A lot of Southern people came to New York, so you met a lot of Southern girls that came up.
Like during the summer, during
North Carolina, South Carolina, and
but none of
Florida,
them wooed you like Gwen.
Nobody like from Memphis though.
Nobody. Well, Memphis was as different. Memphis
she's not just from Memphis. Isn't she from South Memphis?
You're South Memphis,
right?
Yeah, so
she's not just from Memphis.
Yeah, it's a different kind of Memphis.
Yeah, I used to tease her. Is that the city that killed Martin Luther King?
So
yes, it is.
That is it. That is it.
So did you guys? You didn't get nobody like ragged on you for dating a Southern girl then, like back at home.
Say that again. I couldn't hardly hear you.
Did anybody like give you guys a hard time having you be Northern and her be Southern?
No, really, we didn't have too many issues on that. It was I think she came up I'm a senior year or something for Thanksgiving and visit us, visit the house and my mom, and she got a chance to meet my mom and all the people. And I don't know if I might have came down to. I may have came to Memphis once before, to hang out.
Yeah, that place is crazy. We're not going there. Come to New York.
So fast forward, you graduate from Dayton, and then you guys relocate to Detroit. Have some time in Detroit. What brought you back to Memphis to settle?
Well, we're a little bit more stranger. I graduated in '78. I did a co-op, so I stayed there another year.
Okay.
And your mother was still in school, and she went back to Memphis when I had graduated. And so I went up to Muskegon, Michigan, where I worked for Anaconda as an engineer. Up there as a project engineer.
How cold was it up there?
It was that was a major climate change.
Muskegon, Michigan.
Climate change and total different atmosphere. Now, Muskegon is another city that you probably it's very few Black people that live there.
Right.
Yeah.
So and we had one secretary and me in the whole company.
Wow.
One Black person. I mean, in the factories and everything, there's no Black people up here.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Wow.
But growing up in New York, I didn't really have any problem. I hung out with some of all the other engineers and Pete Bird and all it. It was older people, but went fishing and I learned to play racquetball up there.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And but it was it. I think the most crazy experience when I was up there was when they had me. This one of the things that bothered me more than while I was working for them. They had a promotional meeting, which they start showing all the people that worked there and doing things, and they had me put on the scientific jacket, a white jacket, standing in a picture. Then they had me over in this other place. Then they had me out there, and my boss got mad at me. Had me out there with the trees with a hard hat on and digging and try to, put some trees in, showing we're doing something for the environment and what have you. And he said, people came and asked me, what do you, I said, they told me to come here. And he said, you shouldn't have said that. I said, well, that's the truth. I'm in 5 different pictures. You ain't got 5 black people here.
Right. And if people look close enough, they know it's still me.
It's still me.
Yeah, the same guy. That's
right.
And then what we call that in that day and age was window dressing.
Yeah, window dressing. Yep, exactly. Yep. And they sadly still do that today.
I felt real uncomfortable with that whole idea.
Mm-hmm.
I only worked for them that year. And I enjoyed it. And then they sent me down to Louisville as a project in LaGrange, Kentucky.
Okay.
Right outside of Louisville. I loved that. It was really good. I got a chance to see University of Louisville. Mm-hmm. And I knew Rodney and Scooter McCray was playing down there. And I went to a couple of their games. And me knowing them, they were from Mount Vernon. All the people at the plant loved me. Say,
right.
How you went to your high school? I said, yeah. So I became a celebrity at the plant.
I love it. So then at some point you decided to branch out and create your own company, which sorry, go ahead.
There's a story. I got tired of working for companies that were closing. My first job in New York, well, it was not my first job. It was one of my jobs I loved the most. I was working in a hospital, Cross County Hospital. It closed down. Now, you don't hear a lot of hospitals closing down, but it was a private hospital and it closed down. Yeah. Then I worked in Detroit for a while, and Monsanto, they were closing down.
Yeah.
And Detroit was a situation where the engineers were all over the place, losing their jobs from Ford, GM, all Chrysler at that time. So when we decided to come to Memphis, then here it goes again. Kimberly Clark is getting ready to close down. So I decided then I needed to, I had to stop. And a good friend of mine said, why you keep going to work for somebody? Why don't you work for yourself?
Okay.
And so I said, okay, I'll try it. And now we got a big project at the, I had met a lot of the black businessmen, and then we joined the minority business group, and we got tuned into the airport job, which probably I could tell you a long story about that, but anyway, that was the tipping point of me trying to work for myself. I had ran crews, but I had run projects before, so I knew how to run projects.
Right.
Yeah.
But I had did alarm systems. Pretty much just 1 or 2 guys. We put in alarm systems in people's houses, fire alarms in daycares and things like that. And I was still working with Kimberly Clark. And it wasn't bad because I was making almost as much salary. I was making as much money on the side as I was doing my salary and doing it on the weekends.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's when you realize.
That's when you're like, we got to be doing this.
Yeah, I said, man, maybe he's right. If I start just doing this, sometime I can make more money.
But like subliminally though, it goes back to that meeting with Malcolm X. Like you being okay, you making sure that you're self-sufficient. You got tired of people dictating your future with them closing down, and you took control of it. So, but nowadays being an entrepreneur is cool. It's appealing. It's a word that people know now. But like when you were doing it, it wasn't appealing. So like it was like bootstraps. So like the banks weren't giving you any money, were they?
No, and pretty much there was no there were no avenues to really borrow any money. You had to take money out of your savings and what have you to fund the project.
Yeah,
fund the project, and then hopefully that the draws on the project would to sustain your payroll and purchase your material. And then a lot of the vendors didn't want to give you a lot of money either. So and any leeway for more than 30 days.
Wow.
So it was a major struggle, and it's still a struggle today. We still have the same situation. You might get 30 days of, and I understand, but 30 days is, in most projects, you ought to be able to pay pay for the equipment and material you have put in. So and that's what I've been doing. I try to make sure I have complete the project or make sure the project's done so we can pay the vendors off. But it's like everybody else, they want to get paid. And I want to get paid too.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Pops, I have one question.
This is our burning question.
This is my burning question and kind of the last one that we had, right?
Yeah.
Unless you have one.
No, good.
Okay, so Stephen, 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago.
10 years ago, almost 11. Yeah,
almost 11 years ago, we met. All of a sudden brings me into your house. Little white girl from New Hampshire. What was your first thought?
Oh, I loved it.
I said,
you must see. I grew up in New York, and Steven was happy, and you want. First of all, you always want your children to be happy.
Yeah,
and that is the most thing that you look at their happiness, and they saw. I saw how you and Stephen were with each other, and I said, well, shoot, if he's happy, I'm happy. And I got a chance to meet you. You talk,
right?
Since you're from New Hampshire,
right?
And I really worried about your side of the bringing a black man into your life. It was going to be how your family was going to react, but I knew there were going to be some obstacles that has been changed in our environment through the years.
Yeah.
Because if you just did this when I was 21, 22 years old, it's been very difficult. It'd have been a challenge for.
I mean, it wasn't even legal.
Or go to the place to eat.
Yeah. It wasn't even legal for us to get married until 1957.
Well, it's not illegal. I had young ladies that were at the University of Dayton that we hung out with.
Right.
But the challenges are going to be there. It's one thing to hang out in the college atmosphere, but going home.
Yeah, that's a different ballgame. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that can be shocking to people that really wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. No, you're right.
It really wasn't.
It kind of I was I looked at it another way. A lot of it is the world has changed a little bit, and I was happy that we all take on the challenge of being able to be together without having the scrutiny or the places you couldn't even go that you wouldn't want to go because it makes you so uncomfortable. Right. If I went out to a bar when I was at University of Dayton, I went out to the bar with David Line and the other thing. I was like, the people looking at me. Wait a minute, what is he doing here?
What is he doing with a bunch of white people?
Yeah.
And my boss, Rick Archer, didn't understand why I was uncomfortable going out to the bar with him.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had to sit down and tell him one day, Rick, I don't like the watermelon jokes.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
He looked at me. What do you mean? Who was saying watermelon jokes?
Right.
Any of those jokes that you think that they laughed and it was funny, it wasn't funny to me.
Yeah. No, it's not funny.
And think about it, is they're oblivious to, like you said, though. He's like, what do you mean, water? Oh, those jokes. It's like, yes. You don't even notice the awkwardness of that. So to wrap this up, I want to ask you this question, just as your son, when you moved from New York, you met moms from Memphis. What was it like, raising 3 children, being an entrepreneur,
in a white neighborhood. Because y'all were the first Black family to move to the neighborhood.
Because of course let's go into that right quick. What was it like? No, Zoom ain't gonna get us. What was it like moving to our neighborhood in Brookfield and the realtor's car getting egged, and you knowing this is the place to raise my family?
Okay, what year was that?
What year
you understand? We bought the house from doctors.
What year was that, Pops?
From white doctors.
A white doctor and a Black doctor.
Oh, a biracial family.
Yeah, it was a biracial doctor.
But they were doctors,
Dr.
though.
Beverly Carter. She's still practicing here. Oh. I can't remember her husband's name. But anyway, I did some work additionally for Beverly Carter and a lot of her family.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Carter. I remember that now. Like yes.
But
it was, we first bought the house.
But Pops, quickly, that was what, 80, what was it, 89?
They egged the realtors' cars.
Right.
But that was 1989 though, right? What year is that?
Yeah, like 89, I believe.
Yeah, 89, yeah. So I knew
That's crazy.
So so walk us through that. They egged Carol Tate's car, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Because she brought a Black family into the neighborhood.
Right.
Man,
wow.
It was kind of crazy because here I was an engineer at Kimberly Clark, project manager, and they're egging the people's car like they should have brought this Black guy in the neighborhood,
right?
Let him buy a house. But the Tates lived around the corner in a predominantly white neighborhood too.
Yeah.
So, but this neighborhood was and the next door neighbors, they were really nice and kind to us anyway.
Yeah. But if you think about the neighborhood now, it's still not any real Black people in the neighborhood though. Even right now though.
No, there's not. No. There's not many.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a judge that lived in that neighborhood. And that was and then was an Indian family lived in that neighborhood.
I remember the Indian family.
Almost, I guess, almost 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, definitely. But what made you, I mean, did you ever second guess the neighborhood when that happened? Or you just something else that we're going to persevere as a family?
It was kind of the Mr. Sales and Mrs. Sales, they were real nice. But we really we didn't talk to neighbors. We didn't do too much. And because we had such a nice environment, the people and friends came over, and we didn't have any difficulties. If we had an event over there, nobody complained.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just that first opportunity they took it, and then they realized you didn't move, so they had said, "Well, I guess we're gonna deal with them."
Yeah.
Yeah, and the only other thing I had that I guess was first part of it made me angry. The police officer, my alarm went off, and they were about
I remember that. Yes,
because I didn't.
No, you remember wait, I don't know what happened.
My driver's license still had my address on Brookfield Road. I said, "Look at hey, wait a minute! They come in the house. I got pictures of the house. Nobody breaks in the house and put their pictures on.
Their pictures on the wall."
But no, one funny story before I remember that. You remember the time the alarm system went off, and it was me and Andrew at the house, and the police officers automatically thought it was Andrew's house.
Okay, so Andrew is white.
Andrew's white, yes.
Right.
Very white.
Yes.
And then Stephen's obviously Black. So they just assumed on Brookfield Road that it was Andrew's house.
Andrew's house. They were asking Andrew all the questions. Andrew's like, "I don't live here." Like, "Oh, it's your parents' house?" And I was like,
how old were you when that happened?
I was like 8, 9. Yeah, 8 or 9.
And they just assumed.
They just assumed it was Andrew's house.
They weren't like, "Guys, where's either one of your parents?"
No, they were just like, "Oh, it was Andrew's house, Andrew's parents."
Because the house was too big and too nice to be a Black family's house.
That's what the police officer was insinuating. Exactly.
That is crazy.
It's crazy.
Wow.
But definitely, Pops, we appreciate this time. And, as we go forward with this podcast, we might have like a couple of monthly discussions with Pops.
I know, right?
And just talk about things.
We got to get your mom on here too.
We got to get moms on here.
You don't understand the marriage dynamic until you have the marriage on the mic.
It's true. Get her inside take on it.
Right.
No, but we definitely appreciate the time.
Okay. That was probably one of my favorite episodes we've ever recorded.
Yes.
I might be biased.
A little bit biased. But it was just authentic.
And one thing that your dad, I don't think ever noticed, was that it really was a pivotal moment with Malcolm X.
Yeah.
And that was the catalyst for the rest of his life.
It was a catalyst for the rest of his life, and just the fact of everything that he was able to encompass and go through, continues to go through the day, it really set him on the trajectory with that meeting. And
being as young as he was, but also as old as he was, like he was old enough to be at a Malcolm X rally.
Yeah.
And he mentioned how he was never felt seen.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, how lonely.
Yeah.
How hurtful is that?
Yeah.
To never feel seen.
No.
And, right after we got off the recording, Stephen and I were kind of talking about how Malcolm X may have been very radical.
Yeah.
In his thought process. And they were, everybody was like Muslim and da.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what your dad took from that was, I'm seen and I'm worthy.
Mm-hmm.
He said at one point, I wish I could remember the exact phrasing, but he said at one point that you have to love yourself, and that's how you're going to kind of continue on.
Yep.
And nobody's going to do it for you.
Yep. The self-sufficiency piece, and like you said, loving yourself.
I love it. And then he went on, even in Dayton at school, and realized he needed to quit the football team because nobody was going to make him an engineer. Yeah. And he just did it himself. But it took somebody like Malcolm X for an hour. 1 hour, 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Ended up lasting your dad 60 years.
Beautiful.
Which is, it's just amazing. All your dad needed to grow this amazing life where he's had a business when he was a minority business owner, was one of 3 men in an minority, black men in engineering in a minority school, coming back to Memphis, and be a minority business owner fighting for security and electrical projects against white men in the southern city. All he needed was 60 minutes with somebody who actually was like, no, I believe in you. So what if you spent 60 minutes telling somebody how much you believe in them? That could literally put them on the trajectory for the next 60 years of their life.
But our podcasts are only 30 minutes. No, that is beautiful. No.
But that's what happened.
That's what happened.
That's what happened. That's the power of actually inspiring people.
Yes.
And communicating with people. Is that you can impact them in 60 minutes.
Yeah.
For 60 years of their life.
We're blessed. You're right.
I mean, but then you have to also think, your dad then just impacted us and everybody on our podcast, impacted his 3 kids. So that 1 hour with Malcolm X, that literally changes the trajectory of your dad's life, is not only going to last his 60 years, but then was implanted into both you and your 2 sisters, which is now going to be implanted into our kids.
And her kids.
Because it was such a positive movement. Everybody's not Muslim because of it. There isn't, marginalization against white people because that's what Malcolm X was about. But what he actually was an inspirer.
Yeah.
And believed in the black community. I just love it.
I love it.
I love it.
And we appreciate it. I'm glad you guys checked this out.
It as much as us.
We did. Thanks, guys.
If not, we'll listen to it again.
Yeah, you will.
So if you guys are enjoying this, definitely leave us a review. Give us the feedback. If there's something you guys want us to talk about, reach out to us on our website at themizellshow.com. There is a contact section. You can put it in there. We would love to hear about it. Or you can always go over to Instagram at The Mizell Show. Also, as always, don't forget to screenshot this episode and just add it to your stories and tag us on Instagram, on Facebook at The Mizell Show. Thanks, guys. Are you loving The Mizell Show? Well, we love you all. And did you know that you can have me and Steven talk to your team or a group of 25 of your friends? All it takes is 25 people showing up on either a Zoom call, a Facebook Live, or really anywhere. Hopefully in person sooner rather than later. But how do you get us? So all you have to do is email themizellshow@gmail.com, or you can direct message us on Instagram @themizellshow.